Well, here we are sitting in Wisconsin. It's a hot, hot summer day, and we're going to sit down and do a little recap of Lake Chickamauga. Chickamauga. Gotta get that right. Um, what's to recap? It was a really big bomb for me, but I'm going to go over the week. I'm going to go over some of the baits, some of the decisions I made, and hopefully you can maybe avoid some pitfalls that I fell into going to this event. So let's cover it. This was my third event on Lake Chick. None of them have been very successful. It seems I always end up making some bad decisions. I always get on some fish in practice, but you know, changing conditions and big field size, I just end up making some bad decisions. So let's talk about this event. End of June, it was there was fish everywhere, and I talked to a good friend of mine. He said, Charles, do not get trapped into the ledge game. The problem is there's only a finite number of really good schools on ledges, and these guys are so good, everybody finds them, that quite often you end up seeing 2 or 3 boats fishing for one little pot of fish, and I'm just not the kind of guy that moves in on stuff like that. So I was encouraged to find some backup shallow fish, but I did not follow that advice. I actually had a really phenomenal practice on the ledges. I found a bunch of great schools. I was getting fish, you know, I was getting fish on the 660 crankbait. I was getting fish on the Freedom Tackle Hydro Shad, the old hair jig. I even went super finessey, and I was picking up fish on a set the hook Ned rig, and I was actually drop shotting a new 5-inch flex worm from Netbait. You know, I was getting fish. I was probably had 10 schools marked, caught fish in every school. It seemed actually pretty easy. The one time I did go shallow, I picked up a few fish shallow, but I got so sucked into that ledge thing that I really did not expand on my shallow. So day one of the tournament, you know, I went out there and I pounded out on the ledges. The first ledge I got to, it was a small one cast kind of spot, and I wasn't on the spot, and I watched a guy on the spot catch 6 fish to my 1, and I just kept running those ledges, and you know, I picked up a couple fish. I think I got one on a 6XD. I think I got one on a Carolina rig. I've been Carolina rigging the mini kicking bee, and I'll throw in a couple videos here of fish from day one. I think I had 2 fish out deep, and I kept pushing and finally in the last minute I gave up on the deep, fenced down, little bus. A little bit quieter down. I just kept pushing the deep. I think I only picked up 2 fish on the deep, and I'll throw those videos in here. I believe one was on a crankbait, and the other was probably on a Carolina rig. I've been actually Carolina rigging this mini kicking bee from Netbait. It's a great little bait, fantastic action with those claws there. And I didn't go shallow until the last, I don't know, 20 minutes. And I wish in hindsight, I wish I would have made that adjustment earlier. I was throwing a combination. I was throwing a little swim bait with a net bait baby packer craw on here. And then I started flipping around. This is actually kind of a micro flipping jig with a net bait mini packer craw, a little bit smaller, and that's when I ended up getting my last few bites on it at the end of the day. Take a look at here. This was a little stretch of shoreline. I think I got 3 bites on it in practice, and I ended up getting 2 in the dying minutes of day 1 here, and you know, also produced a fish on day 2. That was crazy. So that was my day 1. I pounded out the ledges in the last few minutes, got a few fish shallow, so I went to bed, went home, figured, you know what, I'm not doing the ledge thing anymore. I'm going to focus on the shallow, I'm going to expand on it. And day 2 I woke up. Day 2 actually started pretty interesting. Let's take a look at this little video. I actually idled into the shore here. I was going to take a little bathroom break, if you will. And this cute little fawn, I'll try and zoom in and see if we can see him good here. Cute little fawn hiding in the bushes here. That was a pretty neat start to the day. But we took off down the lake, and I started right away, actually on the bank where I got the shallow fish. And you know, I immediately picked up one. It was a nice fish, and I kept kind of working that shallow thing. Unfortunately, because I hadn't spent enough time and practice doing it, I really didn't have a lot of it to go to. I started looking at some new stuff. Here's a nice little video, me losing my my bump board over the side. Stuff like that. Oh, that was fun.
So just have to guesstimate.
Yeah. So, you know, I got back on the ledges because there was still lots and lots of fish on these spots if I could get on them. And, you know, unfortunately, I just kept running. And I kept thinking in my head, you know, stop doing this, Charles. You got to get to the bank. You got to get into some weeds. You got to get into some grass. And, you know, definition of insanity, do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. I just ran out of time, and I never did get on that shallow ledge. So, in hindsight, just another series of poor decisions. I had a really good deep practice that kind of sucked me into the deep fish, and I never made the adjustment even when I knew I should make the adjustment. So, you know, don't do what I do what I say. You know, be willing to make the adjustment when things aren't working out. That covers everything from Chick. Phenomenal tournament. Congratulations to Jacob Wheeler and everyone else that did amazingly. And you know, we're moving on to, what do we have coming up? We got a Toyota Series that's been moved to Lake Erie, and then we're up on La Crosse, Wisconsin, on the Mississippi River. That's coming soon. So thanks for subscribing, like, follow, appreciate you, and hopefully I'll have some more bigger fish to show you next tournament. Cheers, stay safe everyone.